Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Align and Thrive, Live Your Truth. I'm Rosalie Dodonna, and today we're going to talk about 5 truths to speak up, even when you don't feel ready. Um, so, how many times have you felt the need to hold yourself back, to stop from speaking or posting or showing up and leading because you felt unconfident? You're not alone. The truth is, confidence is often misunderstood, and most people wait to feel confident before they act. But in reality, confidence is built through action, not before it. And so today in this episode, we're going to walk through 5 grounded truths that will help you move forward, speak out, and stand in your truth, even if you feel unprepared, unpolished, or uncertain. So, truth number 1: confidence is a byproduct, not a prerequisite. Many people believe confidence comes first and then action follows. So a lot of people are waiting to do something because they think they need to have all this confidence in order to do the thing, right? But that's actually backwards. Confidence comes after you do the thing. It's built by repetition, experience, and exposure. So you don't gain confidence by thinking about speaking. You gain it by actually doing it, by speaking. So once, and then again, and then again, and then again. And with each repetition, your nervous system becomes more regulated. It becomes familiar, your voice is steadier, and your message is clearer. I know for me, this is super resonant because when I started, talking on camera on Instagram, on YouTube, it felt so unnatural and unfamiliar, and, a long time ago, I couldn't even think of the idea of getting in front of a camera and speaking. It would just the sound of my own voice would make me cringe, and stop from doing it. But, it came to a certain point where I knew speaking my truth was more important to me than continuing to hide. So I just kind of ripped the Band-Aid off, so to speak, and started talking online, started talking to myself on the camera, started sharing on stories, started, just putting myself out there to talk about what was real for me and the insights that I had that I wanted to share and express to the world. And I was definitely not confident by any means. And you know, same thing on YouTube. I was so terrified to start sharing on YouTube and posting. And so, one day I just decided, you know what, you're just going to get your computer out and start talking. And that's exactly what I did. And if you go to my first video on YouTube, I kind of thought about what topic really spoke to me and why I wanted to share my voice. So, that first video is about alignment and living in alignment even when things are hard. And I just yeah, I just showed up and started talking. And I've had so much imposter syndrome. I was unconfident, I was scared, all the things, but I did it anyway. And my second video, I think after that, is just me singing on camera because I knew I had to go to that extreme, to that level to make it to kind of shock my nervous system and also wake it up to realize, hey, you can do this. It just feels scary at first, but you're not going to die from it. And looking back now, I realize there's so many times where I've done that same thing. And now I'm realizing it's because of this truth is confidence comes after you take the action. So you're going to take the action regardless of, um, if it's scary or if you have doubt and all these things. And with the action, you create the confidence, you create the clarity, and you build from there. And this is such an important truth that I think everyone should know because you don't want to let, those feelings of self doubt and fear and control you and keep you stuck from sharing what you know in your heart you're meant to express. So if you wait until you feel ready, you may be waiting forever. So just start while you're scared, start while you're shaking, and start devoted to your truth. Um, and again, I'm not the perfect speaker. Even just now at work today, we had to share a presentation and about, our students' growth and things like that. And I'm a very strong teacher. I love what I do. My students do well. I had everything prepared. I speak to people multiple times. I speak in front of large places, but I still get nervous. I still, my voice still shakes sometimes. And there's some days where it doesn't, some it does, and I just do it anyway. And I know with repetition and with that continued commitment to speaking my truth and sharing what I know I meant to share, and that's value the what that will add value, it will. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with putting myself out there and sharing the message, even if it's not perfect. The delivery is not perfect. All right, truth number two: truth is more relatable than perfection. So, and this is interesting. I just made a reel on this about how people are so focused on being magnetic when really just focus on being truthful and honest. Because that presence is what draws people in, right? Your ability to be honest, human, real, authentic, is what draws people in. It's what magnetizes people to you. Because the world doesn't need more filtered versions of the truth. It needs your honest voice, your raw insight, and your grounded take on whatever it is you're speaking about. When you share from this place of truth instead of performing and trying to look a certain way and be cool and sound like you know everything, um, when you create from truth instead, you create resonance. People um, can relate to you. They feel less alone. You model, with your messiness and all, what's possible, even when you have doubts or struggles or challenges or fears. And you're showing people what's possible when you choose courage over controlling the situation and trying to be perfect. So, um, and that authenticity is what builds trust in people. And when you show who you truly are, people feel like they really know you. That builds the trust, um, and makes you relatable. And then that is what creates the magnetism, right? But if you're trying to be perfect and do everything right and look certain way and control everything, that creates distrust because you're not you are resonating in the form of distrust with your own self because you don't feel comfortable enough to just share the real raw you. So what happens is people can unconsciously or consciously feel that resonance of distrust in yourself and they don't trust you. Then they don't trust you. So when you show up with your real voice, not your rehearsed one, that's what's going to draw people in. Truth number three: fear doesn't mean stop. Fear isn't a red light, it's a sign of expansion. If you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, then you're most likely going to have fear. It's a natural response for your nervous system, and all the things that bring the fear, whether it's speaking in front of others, launching a new program, sharing your story, um, recording yourself and putting it on the internet. Your natural response, if it's not familiar, your nervous system is going to translate that into fear, danger. Don't do that. It's new. We don't know what might happen. You're in danger. But when you can recognize it as just a natural response of your nervous system and learn how to regulate that and um, coach yourself, calm yourself, and do it anyway, right? Um, and normalize that, it just you begin to feel more safe in doing the action, right? So you can feel discomfort, but you can still be grounded in your truth and speak your truth, right? Because speaking and sharing out loud and being more visible and putting yourself out there, like with anything, is a skill that you can build. It's not just something that you have or you don't, right? And for my own journey, I know, years ago, I would have never imagined in all these years I would be talking in front of a camera, talking in front of groups of people, working with people in a coaching situations or in small groups or anything like that because I just had so much fear in just speaking to anyone. I couldn't look people in the eye. I looked down. I never talked. Had so much anxiety, and I still have some anxiety. I still have some fear, but I just see how far I've come and how much I've changed and just doing the thing anyway, putting myself out there, doing my best with what I had in the moment, even if my voice shook, even if I stuttered, even if I mumbled, or if I didn't know what I wanted to say exactly in the right way, and didn't feel like I looked presentable enough, or whatever it was. I just finally made the commitment to just put myself out there and do it to the best of the ability I could now and in that moment. And with repetition, now when I look back at how far I've come, it's just it's been such an amazing journey. And this is also what I try, I teach my students is, you know, um, really pay close attention to now, to how you're showing up now, and do it with full awareness, with your full intention of the outcome you desire, or just with the full truth of who you are, and do your best. And you will never regret anything, because when you put in that level of intentionality and attention and focus and work and authenticity into each moment, when you look back on your life 10 years from now, you're not going to be disappointed with what you've created. So I know it can be it can seem very overwhelming and daunting in the task and endeavor of whatever endeavor you've decided to take on, or mission that you want to accomplish in this world. But if you can just take it one step at a time and bring that full awareness into the present moment, in each action that you take, it won't lead you astray. And that commitment to your truth and that commitment to your God-given purpose is going to transform your life. um, let's see. So yes. So even though it might be scary, it might be fearful, you might be feeling fearful, that doesn't mean stop, right? Start seeing your fear as a companion to growth. And I tell clients this too, and I've seen it also in my own experience, is when you're feeling the most fear is when you are on that next level of growth and expansion, because you're in uncharted territory. You're pushing beyond the boundaries of what is familiar to you and learning something new, growing, expanding. And you won't feel that if you're doing the same old things you always do. If you're doing what's familiar, if you're doing what's comfortable, if you're doing what you've always done and getting what you've always got, it's gonna feel very familiar. It's not gonna feel fearful. But so many people think, oh, I felt fear, so I shouldn't do it. Actually, no, when you feel the fear, even more reason to do it. Truth number 4, you don't need to be the expert to add value. I love this one. It's so true. Many people, and myself included, have stayed silent because they feel like they haven't earned the right to speak. They think they need a certification, a title, a certain level of expertise, even a certain amount of years of experience, or certain accolades or awards to, feel like they really can share what they know. And but what people really need is just real world experience, lived wisdom, and relatability. Um, because you could be in the process of learning and discovering something and still lead in a powerful way. You can speak from where you are now, not where you think you should be. And teaching, coaching, guiding are all forms of sharing your perspective, not performing perfection. And I think it's so interesting and it's so true how, even in the coaching world, someone can coach someone who, has, a greater level of success than them, right? Whether if it's in income, or a lot of time people just want to compare based on outwardly belongings and tangible items that they possess. But that doesn't mean that a coach can't coach that person because they have more outwardly possessions than them. Because what we don't normally compare is what's going on in here, because we can't see, right? How people think, people's perspectives, people's lived wisdom, um, truths that people have embodied at a deeper level. And, a lot of the times, certain high levels of that, the byproduct of that is wealth and is having physical items or more belongings, um, but not always. And so don't let um, the need to feel like you need to be an expert or have all the success or have a certain level of income feel like you are not worthy of um, adding value to the world, to showing up and sharing what you know. Because your presence, your story, and your integrity is more valuable than anything else because, you know, each person has their own unique experience and perspective to share that might shift something for someone else, being told in your own specific, special, unique way, right? So don't wait until you arrive and just know that you're already worthy of being heard. We all are. Um, because no matter what level we are at, we're going to be helping somebody, um, whether we realize it or not, right? Think of how many people are in the world, and you're gonna be a shining light for someone. And and honestly, I don't even feel like that should be your focus. It should just be, I mean, we want to help people, we want to uplift, we want to show the way for people who are struggling, but um, then your truth is always conditional on this expectation of what you want from others on the outside. So instead, how can you then focus on just being honest and honoring and having deep devotion to your truth, to your God-given truth, your God-given purpose, and lead from there. Lead from there because that gives you innate value. You have innate value within you, um, that God has placed there, that's in your soul, that's waiting to be expressed by you. Uh, Truth number 5, devotion will carry you where competence cannot. This is a very important truth because, and this is what I just spoke on, at the end of the last one, is when your actions are driven by devotion to your mission, your message, your healing, you're going to show up regardless of how you feel. You're going to show up regardless of what people say or don't say. You're going to show up regardless if you get attention or none, right? Because aligning with um, your truth and your voice matters because, again, your story is needed. Um, and, you want to be there for yourself to know that if you have something that wants to be expressed and shared, you are worthy of doing that. Um, and from that place, you're rooted in purpose, you're rooted um, in what God is calling you to do, what your soul is calling you to do in this lifetime. And you're no longer performing, you're now contributing from your soul, from a deeper level. Um, and that in itself is an act of leadership because being self led. No, you're not following someone else, you're not waiting for permission, you're not, you're honoring that place inside of you that's connected to source and all that is to God, and you're honoring that and um, honoring your desires and your truth and what wants to come through, and um, devotion to that, to your inner truth, to your connection with God, to what your soul is calling to do. What your soul is calling you to do is what creates your legacy, right? And that is, I see that as success, more successful than any other outwardly um, belonging that I could attain, any other outwardly um, validation, or, as humans, we want to be validated, we want to be seen and lifted up and all these stuff, but how can you what can you do to make sure that honoring your truth and the reverence that you hold for God and your soul and yourself is more important than any of the outwardly approval of this human world, right? Because I think that is going to be more sustainable than constantly living for likes and comments and subscription. um, yeah. So again, I hope from this you learned you don't need to wait until you feel ready. You don't need to wait until you feel confident. You don't need to wait for anyone's approval or to be perfect or any external signs of proof to start. You just need to start now. Be real, show up as you are, and start with what's true for you. Because the world doesn't need more of the same voices, the same copy cut. I mean, copy, cut, and paste voices, right? It needs your unique, grounded, devoted, inner truth voiced in your own specific frequency. And let it be an honest one, an authentic one to you. And so, yeah, I hope this message helped you today. And remember that, again, like I said, you don't need to have it all figured out in order to start because what happens is people want the last thing I'll note on all of this is people want all the wisdom, they want all the understanding before they can feel like before they feel like, okay, now I can speak. Now I can really talk about this, right? That's kind of with goes with feeling like you need a certain level of expertise to speak on something. But what happens is we're never going to know everything. We're never going to have all the understanding, all the wisdom. But if we just allow ourselves to begin, allow ourselves to start, allow ourselves to be true and authentic and real of what we know and all the things we don't know, because there's still many and plenty of that, um, that's when understanding and wisdom find you. Because if you are striving and thinking you know everything, and then you want to start from there, you're not going to be receptive to what's really true and what's meaningful and wanting to come to you, right? But if you stay open and understanding and humble of the fact that you don't know all, you're not perfect, but I'm going to show up anyway, that's when meaning comes. That's when the revelations come. That's when the wisdom and the understanding come. Um, because you're open to it. You're open to receiving that by the grace of God. So I hope this helped you. Again, have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend. I'll see you all next time.